In general, the notion of releasing an artist's unfinished work after they're dead, this reminded me of a quote from the Doors producer, Paul Rothchild, regarding Jim Morrison. I'll be reading you that quote later in this video, but first I want to show you a clip from one of my interviews with Jack Endino. This interview was from 2020, and I asked Jack Endino about the subject of potentially still unreleased Nirvana material. I'm going to show you that clip now. If you want to see my full interview with Jack Endino, where we discuss a variety of things about Nirvana's history, the link is available below. All the interviews on my channel are original. If you want to support, the best way to do so is to subscribe, like, and share.
Would you happen to know if there are any plans to release any more like box sets or anything, or is that something that's like kind of, if there is, it wouldn't be publicly disclosed?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they've kind of scraped the bottom of the barrel on this a lot. I think the only thing they have left is lots and lots of live recordings. Mm-hmm. So there is the possibility of more live stuff. I think some kind of live in utero tour thing could exist because there's some pretty good recordings. A lot of them have been bootlegged. And I suspect that there are soundboard tapes in a vault somewhere of some of the shows from the In Utero tour when Pat was in the band. You know, when it's like a 4-piece Nirvana.
Yeah.
So I think some of that stuff exists. I've heard some here and there, and it was really good for live recordings. So I think if somebody really wanted to, they could come up with some more live stuff. But, you know, I don't know how likely that is at this point. What's going to happen is there's going to be like a 20-year anniversary of this or a 30-year anniversary of that. And somebody somewhere at some record company is going to be like, is there anything left that we can find, you know, one more song somewhere, you know, where is it? And then I'll get the phone call and I'll be like, yeah, there's like 1/3 of a version of Floyd the Barber on the reel with Chad, you know, or whatever. You know, it's not, you know, it's like, how much at the bottom of the barrel do you really want to scrape? I do get tired of people angling for personal stuff. I had a TV crew once that were like, they were begging me if there was any video footage of Nirvana during the Bleach sessions. And I said, no, we didn't have cell phones. Nobody had a video camera. You know, I mean, they barely had a working van, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of still pictures. They're all in the Bleach reissue has a lot of still photos that appeared, which are great. There is also a version of Hairspray Queen with Chad Channing that exists somewhere. There isn't much.
I hear you, man. I hear you. In terms of remixing, you know, going back to the original session, the Dale demo, you didn't have much time to put everything together. If you could have properly mixed one song, what would have that song been?
Pen Cap Chew exists as a verse, a chorus, and a complete second verse, and the tape runs out somewhere around the first line of the second chorus. The version on the box set and the version that we put on the Dale demo at the time when I made cassettes is verse, chorus, fade. I actually, when I had access to the tapes some years ago and a Pro Tools system, I pulled it out and I was able to reconstruct a version of the song because there is a complete second verse on the reel, and I was able to basically duplicate the first chorus, paste it on there, because of course Kurt sang the chorus is exactly the same in any case. The lyrics never changed. I heard, you know, there was a live version I was able to compare the arrangement to. So I was able to kind of reconstruct the song, because the original arrangement of the song is verse, chorus, repetition of the last few bits of the chorus, and then it would end. Mm-hmm. So it's possible to reconstruct the song, actually, using the second verse that nobody's heard, and a copy of the first chorus with a little section repeated. It's basically a digital reconstruction. And nobody was interested in using it. So I remember offering it as a suggestion at one point, but it is what it is. Maybe someday.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, whatever. You know, it's like, Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, there may be bootlegs of it from '87 using with the arrangement that they actually played, because I think they played it at Community World that night.
Now, as mentioned, I want to talk a little bit about Jim Morrison. The following is a clip from my documentary, The Doors After Jim Morrison. If you want to see the full documentary, it's linked below. Paul Rothchild produced the Doors' first 5 studio records, as well as their live album Absolutely Live and their compilation record 13. He was originally going to produce LA Woman as well, but he left the project early on. In any case, Paul Rothchild was instrumental in the Doors' success. He was close with Jim and was highly critical of An American Prayer. He considered An American Prayer disrespectful to Jim Morrison's legacy and integrity as an artist. The following is a quote from Paul Rothchild where he elaborates on why he opposes An American Prayer as strongly as he does. This quote is from an interview Paul did with journalist Blair Jackson on July 3, 1981, 10 years to the day of Jim Morrison's death. Quote, "I think anything that was done during Jim's lifetime that might have offended him would disappear in total insignificance compared to what I'm positive would have been his reaction to An American Prayer. That album is a rape of Jim Morrison. It was heavily edited. I have a tape of Jim reading most of the poetry in the style and meter that he intended. Jim and I discussed poetry a great deal. I got him to listen to poets like Dylan Thomas reading his own works, and Jim definitely got things out of it. Jim was always talking to me about the progress of words, their meter, their sequence, their flow. He was very concerned about how he presented his poetry. When I listen to that original tape, I hear something compelling. To Doors fans, and there are a few who've heard it, the poetry is chilling. To me, what was done on An American Prayer is the same as taking a Picasso and cutting it up into postage stamp-sized pieces, spreading it across a supermarket wall. All Jim's poetry has been cut into bits and spread across a long instrumental composition that is irrelevant. Jim never intended this kind of approach to be done with his poetry. When we went into the studio to record it, it was to get away from the Doors. In a way, it was his signal to the other Doors that he was moving away from them. He definitely wouldn't have used Doors music. He was talking to people as diverse as Lalo Schifrin, whom he wanted to write some very avant-garde classical music. He wanted it to be sparsely orchestrated. I think An American Prayer is rude. The Doors and Danny and me, anyone involved, should be concerned with preserving the integrity of the Doors' career and the memory of Jim. We should all tell the truth. An American Prayer was an embarrassment. It was the first commercial sellout of Jim Morrison. Jim would be humiliated by it as a sensitive person, and incensed by it as a poet. Damage is done, I'm afraid. Let's all hope that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, though, because it takes the Doors farther away from what they really were, one of the all-time great rock and roll bands, and the proof is already out there for everyone to see. We don't need any more convincing.